Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're diving into something that's got everyone talking. The cookieless future and what it means for, well, demand generation.
Yeah, it's a pretty big shift.
It is.
And it's happening fast, and this impacts, well, everyone involved, right? I mean, we've got users, advertisers, even Google itself.
Right. So to kick things off, let's rewind a little bit.
Right.
For anyone who's maybe not totally up to speed, you know how you're browsing online. Maybe you're looking for like a new pair of headphones.
Yeah.
And then suddenly everywhere you go, it's headphone ads.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. That's the magic of third-party cookies, right? Those little bits of code that track your activity online. And that's how advertisers can personalize those ads. It's kind of been the standard way of doing things for years now. But the tide is turning.
Yeah, and turning fast. We've got some pretty startling stats here. For example, did you know that 75% of consumers just straight up don't trust companies to protect their personal data?
It's a big concern.
It is.
Privacy is a huge concern, and it's not just, consumer sentiment either. We've got regulations like GDPR and CCPA coming into play, all putting limits on how data can be collected and used.
Right, and on top of that, we've got the big players like Apple and Google making moves. Apple's Safari browser has already put the brakes on third-party cookies. And Google Chrome, which, by the way, handles a whopping 90% of internet searches in Australia and New Zealand, is set to phase them out completely next year.
Yeah, so this is what everyone's calling the cookie apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's really shaking things up.
It is. It's shaking things up big time. So imagine you're an advertiser, right?
Yeah.
In the past, you could just rely on those cookies to, track a user's journey, from the minute they click on an ad to the point where they actually make a purchase.
Right. It was a clear path. It showed you what was working.
Right.
But without cookies, well, that path kind of disappears.
So no more clear picture of how your ads are actually performing.
It's a challenge.
That's a big problem. How are advertisers supposed to measure anything without cookies?
Well, it's not a total blackout. Google's got a solution for this. It's called Enhanced Conversions for Web, or ECW for short.
Okay. ECW. How does that work?
So it uses something called hashed customer data.
Okay.
Basically, it's just scrambled, anonymized information, stuff that users provide, willingly, like their email address when they sign up for a newsletter or when they make a purchase.
So instead of relying on these cookie crumbs that are disappearing, we're using something a bit more concrete, something that the user's actually giving you.
Exactly. And here's the clever part. Google can then match this hashed data with its own data from logged-in users.
Oh, interesting.
It's like piecing together a puzzle,
Okay.
rebuilding that path from ads to conversions.
So ECW, it's not just for people who are logged into Google. It can work even if someone, isn't logged in.
Right. It uses a variety of signals and some smart modeling to fill in those gaps and connect the dots, even when the user's not logged in.
Okay, so it's more sophisticated than it sounds.
It is.
But the real question is, does it work? Does it actually move the needle?
Well, the results are pretty impressive. Advertisers using ECW are seeing a big boost in their conversion tracking. I mean, we're talking an average of 5% lift on search ads, and on YouTube, a 17% lift.
Okay, those are some serious numbers. So how do we get in on this ECW action? If I'm an advertiser, what do I need to do?
Well, there are a few ways to implement ECW. The recommended method is manual. It involves adding a bit of code to your website to capture the hashed data, send it over to Google. It might sound a bit technical, but in the long run, it's the most robust and reliable method.
Probably a good idea to chat with your web developer about that then.
Probably, yeah. Especially if you're not a coding whiz yourself.
Right. So we've established that ECW can help us recover that lost conversion data. But is that all it does?
No, it's much more than that. ECW isn't just a Band-Aid. It's about giving Google's algorithms better data. And with better data, you get all sorts of benefits.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of benefits?
Well, think about it. When you've got more accurate data on conversions, you can optimize your ad bidding strategies way more effectively. You can target the right people, and you can even start to understand which creative elements are actually driving those conversions.
So it's like having a magnifying glass helping you focus your entire advertising strategy.
Precisely. ECW gives you the clarity and insights you need to make smarter decisions across the board. I mean, everything from budget allocation to creative development.
Now, I'm always a fan of seeing how these things work in the real world. Are there any like success stories out there that show that ECW is the real deal?
Absolutely. So there's Watches of Switzerland. They were already using Google Analytics 4, but they wanted more granular insights into their conversions. By implementing ECW, they saw a 3.2% increase in their search conversions. And get this, a 25% increase in their YouTube conversions.
The 25% increase, that's huge.
Yeah.
Any other examples?
Yeah. There's ASOS, the online fashion giant. They were also struggling with measurement gaps, implemented ECW and saw their search conversions jump by 8.6%, and their YouTube conversions up by 31%.
Wow, that's amazing. It seems like these brands aren't just surviving the cookieless future, they're actually thriving in it.
Yeah, it's a whole new world of advertising. But the key takeaway here is that this cookieless future, it's not something to be afraid of, you know? Yeah. It's an opportunity to build stronger relationships with your audience, more transparent relationships based on trust and respect for their privacy.
Yeah, I love that perspective. It's not just about following the rules, it's about doing what's right for your customers and your business. It's a win-win.
Exactly. So with that in mind, maybe we should shift gears a little bit. We can talk about how brands can effectively generate demand in this this new advertising landscape.
Yeah, let's do it. Lead the way. So we're talking demand generation in this cookieless world. Mm-hmm. What's the biggest mistake brands are making when it comes to, actually generating demand?
I think a lot of brands are still stuck in that short-term mindset. They're focused on just chasing those immediate sales instead of trying to cultivate those long-term relationships with their audience.
Right. It's about playing the long game.
Exactly.
Building those relationships that will lead to, sales down the road.
Yeah.
But how do you actually do that? Like, how do you actually do that in this new landscape where cookies are, crumbling all around us?
The key is to reach consumers in the mid-funnel.
Okay.
That's that sweet spot where people are aware of their needs. They're, actively exploring solutions, but they haven't quite made up their minds yet about a specific brand or a product.
Right. It's about capturing their attention and, nurturing their interest at that critical stage when they're starting to actually make decisions. Okay. So where do YouTube and Google fit into all of this?
Well, when it comes to reach and engagement potential, YouTube and Google are, they're unmatched.
Right.
We're talking about, over 2 billion active users on YouTube alone.
Wow.
And a staggering 86% of online users turn to YouTube or Google to discover new products and brands.
Okay, so those are some serious numbers. So how can advertisers actually tap into that massive audience, in a way that feels like authentic and engaging?
Well, that's where Google's demand gen campaigns come in.
Yeah.
They're designed to do exactly that, capture attention, drive engagement, and ultimately, convert consumers with immersive, visually driven creative experiences.
Demand gen campaigns. Okay, tell me more. Like, what makes them so unique?
Well, imagine combining the best of Google and YouTube's, most captivating ad formats, all powered by Google's cutting-edge AI. That's demand gen campaigns in a nutshell. Yeah. We're talking about reaching up to 3 billion users monthly across platforms like YouTube InStream, YouTube Shorts, YouTube Feeds, Discover, even Gmail.
That's incredible reach. So demand gen campaigns are kind of like casting this wide net, but in a smart, targeted way. Mm-hmm. But let's break this down a bit. How did these campaigns actually work? Like, what are the key ingredients that make them so effective?
Sure. So demand gen campaigns are built on 3 core pillars.
Okay.
Expanded impact, tailored ad experiences, and AI-powered bidding and measurement.
Okay, so a lot of AI.
A lot of AI, yeah.
Okay,
sure.
So let's start with expanded impact. What does that actually mean, in a practical sense?
So expanded impact is all about access. It gives advertisers access to Google and YouTube's, most immersive and personalized touch points. We can take YouTube Shorts, for example. They've just exploded in popularity. We're talking over 50 billion daily views globally.
It seems like everyone's glued to their phones watching Shorts these days. So demand gen campaigns can seamlessly incorporate these short-form videos to reach that massive audience.
Absolutely. And it's not just limited to Shorts either. These campaigns can leverage, the full spectrum of YouTube's offerings, from in-feed and in-stream ads to those captivating videos that show up in your Discover feed.
Yeah.
And we can't forget about Gmail either. It reaches just a vast audience of engaged users.
Okay, so demand gen campaigns, they really do cast a wide net. But we're not just blasting these ads out to anyone and everyone, right? We can be like strategic about who actually sees these ads.
You're exactly right. And that's where the second pillar comes in. Tailored ad experiences. It's all about creating those audience first creatives, the ones that resonate with specific consumer mindsets and drive real demand.
I like that. So instead of like a one-size-fits-all approach, we're tailoring the message, the creative, to really match those the specific needs and interests of different audience segments.
Precisely. And Google has just this fantastic suite of audience solutions to help you do that. I mean, you can tap into Google's, vast data trove using demographics, interests, in-market signals, even purchase intent to laser focus your targeting.
That makes a lot of sense. But what if you're a brand that already has valuable audience data, like customer lists or website visitor data? Can you bring that data to the table and, integrate it with demand gen campaigns?
Absolutely. Demand gen campaign, they integrate seamlessly with your existing first-party data, CRM data, website data, YouTube followers, app users. I mean, this lets you create those hyper-targeted campaigns that speak directly to your most valuable customers and prospects.
So it sounds like it's all about bringing like the best of both worlds together, right? Your data and Google's, powerful insights.
Exactly. And here's where things get really interesting. So Google recently introduced this game-changing feature called lookalike segments, which is exclusive to demand gen campaigns.
Okay.
This feature, it lets you use a variety of seed lists, like your most loyal customers, to find those untapped audiences that share similar characteristics. It's kind of like those highly effective lookalike audiences that you see on social media platforms, but within the Google ecosystem.
Lookalike segments. It's like a secret weapon for uncovering those hidden gems, those potential customers that are just waiting to be discovered.
It is. Think of it as expanding your reach exponentially, but still keeping that laser focus on your ideal customer profile.
Okay, so we've covered expanded impact and tailored ad experiences. Let's talk about that third pillar, that AI-powered bidding and measurement. I'm sensing a theme here.
You got it. So this pillar is all about leveraging Google's, cutting edge AI to just optimize your campaigns, everything from your bidding strategies to performance measurement.
So less manual tinkering and more letting the machines do what they do best.
Exactly. So demand gen campaigns, they offer a range of sophisticated bidding strategies, all powered by, Google's AI.
Okay.
So you can choose to optimize for specific goals, like maximizing clicks, maximizing conversions, or maybe achieving a target cost per acquisition. There's even a value-based bidding option that lets you bid higher for conversions that are worth more to your business, like the ones that lead to higher value purchases or subscriptions.
It sounds like there's a bidding strategy to match just about any business goal. But what about proving the impact of these campaigns? Like measurement's always a hot topic in advertising.
Right.
So how do we know these campaigns are actually delivering?
Well, that's an important question. And demand gen campaigns don't disappoint there. They provide a comprehensive set of measurement tools. They really help you understand the true value of your campaigns across, the entire customer journey.
So we're not just talking about clicks and conversions. We're looking at that bigger picture, like how these campaigns are influencing, brand awareness, consideration, and ultimately long-term customer loyalty.
Exactly. You can use data-driven attribution models to understand how your ads influence conversions across multiple touch points, even if a user doesn't convert right away. There are also tools to measure brand lift and search lift. They tell you how your campaigns are impacting brand awareness and search interest. And, if you want to get really granular, you can run conversion lift studies to measure that incremental impact of your campaigns compared to a control group.
So it's like having X-ray vision into like how your advertising efforts are actually working.
It is.
Across that entire customer journey.
Yeah.
Okay. But I imagine all of this can feel a little, overwhelming.
Sure.
Are there any real world success stories that demonstrate like, the power of these demand gen campaigns?
Definitely. So there's LG Electronics. They're, a global leader in home appliances, and they wanted to boost brand awareness and drive traffic to their website for their Do You All Cool air conditioner line. They decided to test out demand gen campaigns, and the results were, well, they were pretty remarkable.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of results are we talking about?
So compared to their previous social media campaigns, LG Electronics saw a 24% higher conversion rate, a 48% higher click-through rate, and a remarkable 91% lower cost per acquisition.
Wow, those are some seriously impressive numbers. So demand gen campaigns, it sounds like, they really delivered.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be honest, setting these campaigns up, it can seem, I don't know, a little daunting. Where does someone even begin?
Well, you'd be surprised, actually. It's pretty straightforward. Google created this helpful demand gen best practice elements checklist. It kind of guides you through the whole process. It covers everything from, setting your budget and defining your target audience to creating those compelling creatives and choosing that right bidding strategy.
So it's like a roadmap to demand gen success.
Exactly. And, if you ever feel overwhelmed, Google's got a team of experts that are ready to help you every step of the way.
Okay, so demand gen campaigns, it sounds like they're a real game changer for, marketers who are looking to thrive in this new cookieless world.
They are, and remember, it's all about building those meaningful connections with your audience, providing real value and fostering trust. It's advertising that feels less like advertising and more like a genuine connection.
I love that. So as we kind of navigate this ever-evolving advertising landscape, what's the key takeaway for our listeners today?
The key takeaway is this. Embrace the change, The cookieless future is here. And it's actually an incredible opportunity to elevate your advertising game, build those stronger relationships with your customers, and drive sustainable growth for your business.
Yeah, I love that optimistic outlook. It's not about fearing the unknown, but about embracing those possibilities that come with change.
Exactly. Now, are you ready to tackle some questions from our listeners? We've got a fantastic lineup of questions about ECW and demand gen campaigns. I'm excited to share our insights.
I'm ready. Let's dive into those questions.
Okay.
So let's get to those listener questions. We've got a lot of curious minds out there eager to learn more about ECW and demand gen campaigns.
I'm ready.
Awesome.
So let's start with a question about ECW's accuracy. So someone wants to know, with this whole modeling system, is it possible that ECW might report a conversion that didn't actually happen?
That's a really great question. It gets right to the heart of, whether we can actually trust these systems, especially with, all this talk about modeling and algorithms.
Right. And it's important to be upfront about this. While ECW is incredibly sophisticated and uses advanced modeling to bridge those measurement gaps, it's not a perfect system.
Right.
There's always a possibility of, some level of statistical error, just like with any data-driven system.
So there's a chance that ECW could over-report conversions, making a campaign look like it's, performing better than it actually is.
It's possible, but Google has built-in safeguards to minimize that risk. The modeling system is constantly being refined and validated against real-world data. And Google's very transparent about the potential for a margin of error in its reporting.
Okay, so it's about, understanding the limitations of the system while still recognizing its incredible value. I mean, in giving us more accurate insights than we could get otherwise.
Exactly. And keep in mind that ECW is, it's constantly evolving. Google's investing heavily in making those models even better, improving accuracy all the time.
That's great to hear. Okay, let's move on to a question about demand gen campaigns.
Yeah.
This listener wants to know, can you give me a scenario where, demand gen would be the best campaign choice for a particular brief or strategy?
Sure. So demand gen campaigns, they really shine when you're looking to boost awareness and consideration for products or services that have a strong visual appeal.
Okay, so think like lifestyle brands, travel companies, fashion retailers,
Yeah.
anything that really, pops visually.
Exactly. If you can showcase your product or service in a visually captivating way and you're aiming to reach a broad audience across, Google and YouTube's most engaging platforms, then demand gen campaigns are a perfect fit.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, here's another question about demand gen campaigns. Someone is asking about frequency. Could you share recommended demand gen frequency thresholds by product?
A question about frequency capping. Making sure you're not bombarding people with the same ad over and over again.
Right.
So there's no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to frequency.
No magic number.
Not exactly. The ideal frequency really depends on a number of factors, like your product, your target audience, and the overall goals of your campaign.
Okay, so how do you find that sweet spot between, staying top of mind and not becoming annoying?
Well, testing and optimization are key here. Start with a moderate frequency cap and then keep a close eye on performance. Pay attention to your engagement metrics, your conversion rates. If you start to see performance, dipping, it might be time to tweak that frequency cap.
Got it. It's all about finding that perfect balance. Yeah. All right, let's squeeze in one last question here. This listener asks, will demand gen campaigns replace existing formats?
That's a common concern. But the good news is that demand gen campaigns are designed to enhance, not replace your existing campaigns.
So it's more about expanding your toolkit rather than throwing out what's already working.
Precisely. Think of demand gen campaigns as this powerful new tool in your marketing arsenal. They enable you to connect with new audiences, engage them in these exciting, innovative ways.
Fantastic. Well, that's all the time we have for questions today, but we've covered a lot of ground from, the ins and outs of ECW to the incredible potential of demand gen campaigns.
It's been a really insightful conversation. And remember, the cookieless future is not something to fear. It's a chance to build those stronger, more transparent relationships with your audience based on trust and respect.
I couldn't agree more. So as you start exploring these new tools and strategies, remember to stay curious, stay creative, and always put your audience first.
And if you have more questions or you need some guidance along the way, don't hesitate to reach out to Google's team of experts. They're there to help you navigate this evolving landscape and crush your marketing goals.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the cookieless future and the exciting world of demand gen campaigns.
Until next time, happy marketing.
And may your conversions be plentiful.